These pictures depict the Inuit, Aboriginal and emigrant people of the Arctic. Human welfare based on traditional life through hunting, sharing, reciprocal exchange and groupism exists along the ways of life their colonial masters have imported to the Arctic. It's not just a nice idea, it's the core of survival. In a land where nature can be harsh and unforgiving, cooperation and community among the Aborigines are essential. This deep respect for indigenous ways of human life shapes the Inuit worldview. It influences the Aboriginal social structures, traditions and outlook on the world. This emphasis on human well-being stands in stark contrast to the concept of militarism. Militarism, with its focus on military strength and dominance, is alien to the traditional way of life. The Arctic, in their eyes, is not a battleground to be conquered, but a home to be respected and cherished. The traditional economy was built on a deep understanding of the Arctic environment. Hunting, fishing and gathering in an Arctic environment on land and in fjords and on the ice were organized as Inuit communal activities, with the catches distributed according to need. The great hunter was the informal leader determining where the collective should go hunting. This ensured that everyone had enough to eat Arctic country food and that the community as a whole could thrive. This economic model fostered a strong sense of interdependence, cooperation and local community. Indigenous people relied on each other for survival, and this fostered a culture of mutual support and respect. There was no room for individual greed or the pursuit of power at the expense of others. Conflicts, of course, did arise in transitional societies. In Greenland, Nunatsiavut, Nunavut, Nunavik, Yukon, the new Northwest Territories and Northern Alaskan communities, these were typically resolved through peaceful means. The goal was not to defeat an opponent but to restore harmony and balance to the indigenous community. Violence was seen as a last resort, a failure to find a peaceful solution through drum dance and mocking with local community as witnesses. This emphasis on peaceful conflict resolution reflects the Aboriginal understanding of interconnectedness that should inspire us all. Communities recognized that harming another person ultimately harmed the entire community. Maintaining peace and harmony was essential for the well-being of all. Only as a last resort did violence occur. The arrival of the First Cold War brought with it a new and unwelcome presence in the Arctic militarism. Southern colonial masters, driven by geopolitical interests, established military bases and conducted exercises in the region, often with little regard for the indigenous way of life. This militarization had a disruptive and often destructive impact on indigenous communities. Traditional hunting grounds were disrupted, sacred sites were desecrated, and the delicate balance of the Arctic ecosystem was threatened. The Aboriginals were confronted with the dangers of militarism firsthand. Safety and security, a UN perspective. The United Nations defines human security broadly. It goes beyond military threats to encompass economic well-being, social justice and environmental protection. It recognizes that true security comes not from military might, but from creating a world where all people can live in dignity and free from fear. This concept of human security resonates deeply with the indigenous worldview. It acknowledges that true well-being encompasses not just physical safety, but also cultural integrity, environmental sustainability, and the ability to live in harmony with nature and each other. New tensions, old problems, the Arctic under pressure. Today, the Arctic is once again facing growing international tensions. Climate change, with its promise of new shipping routes and access to natural resources, has brought renewed attention to the region. The Arctic is at risk of a continued and enhanced frontier for colonial and imperialist exploitation. This renewed interest in the Arctic poses a significant threat to the Aboriginal way of life. The potential for environmental damage, cultural disruption, and even military conflict looms large. The indigenous people are caught in the middle, their voices often marginalized in the pursuit of geopolitical and economic interests. Building a better future. The new participatory traditional economy, based on cooperative societies, and stakeholding. In response to these challenges, a revitalization of elements of the traditional economy is needed to adapt it to the 21st century new traditional economy. This new participatory traditional economy focuses on sustainable development, community ownership, self-empowerment, workers' self-management, stakeholding self-management, and preserving Aboriginal culture and identity. This approach offers a powerful alternative to the exploitative, hegemonic, and colonialist practices of the past and present. It recognizes that true prosperity comes not from extracting resources, maximizing profits, capital exports, and capital accumulation, but from investing in people, cooperation and groupism, preserving the environment and building a future where everyone can thrive. This model points to a peaceful global future, freed of economic imperialism and the centre's hegemony. Benefits of prioritizing human welfare and security for the indigenous people. Prioritizing human welfare over militarism offers a path to a more just and sustainable future for the Arctic and its people. It could be the solution for mankind within the framework of a new international order based on pluralism and national sovereignty without colonial and hegemonic interference in other nations' internal matters. By embracing the values of cooperation, sharing, and peaceful conflict resolution, the indigenous people provide a powerful model for a world in desperate need of a new way forward. Their experience serves as a reminder that true security comes not from building walls and amassing weapons, but from building bridges of understanding, respect, and shared responsibility for our planet and each other.